The greatest war you will ever fight is not against the world, not against your enemies, and not even against those who doubt you. The greatest war is the one raging inside you, a battle between who you are and who you are destined to become. No one else will see this war. No one else will hear the screams or feel the pain. It is silent, invisible, and deeply personal. But make no mistake, its outcome will shape your entire life. If you win, you rise into power, purpose, and freedom. If you lose, you remain trapped in the prison of your old self. This is the final battle. You versus you. Every dream you've ever had, every goal you've ever set, every version of yourself you secretly wish to become, they all depend on the choices you make in this battle. The world might cheer for you or laugh at you, but in the end, it doesn't matter. Because when you stand in front of the mirror, there will be no audience, no applause, no critics. Only you, staring back. That's where the truth lives. That's where victory or defeat is decided. This book is not just a guide, it's a call to arms, a weapon for those tired of living small, stuck in the shadows of fear and self-doubt. It's a map for warriors who are ready to confront their deepest insecurities, to rise from failure, and to claim the life they were born to live. You don't need luck. You don't need permission. You need courage. And you need to understand one thing. The only person who can stop you is you. The only person who can save you is you. And the only person who can lead you to victory is you. This is not just a book you read. This is a journey you live. If you're ready to step into the arena of your own soul, turn the page. The battle begins now. Chapter 1. The Hidden Fighter. There is a version of you that you have never truly met, a version that is stronger, sharper, and far more powerful than the one you know today. This version doesn't show itself during the good times. It doesn't reveal itself when life is easy, when the path is smooth, and when there are no obstacles in sight. Instead, it hides in the deepest part of you, waiting for a storm. It waits for the moment when life hits you so hard that you fall to your knees, when everything you thought you were crumbles, when fear surrounds you and quitting feels like the only option. That is when the hidden fighter stirs. But here's the painful truth. Most people never meet this version of themselves. They quit too early. They settle too soon. They choose comfort over courage, never realizing that the greatest battle they will ever face is not against the world, but against their own limits. Think about the times you felt broken, the moments when your dreams seemed impossible, when no one believed in you, when you didn't even believe in yourself. In those moments, a quiet voice inside you whispered, "Get up, try again." Maybe you ignored it. Maybe you gave in to exhaustion and pain. Or maybe, for just 1 second, you listened and you pushed forward. That second, that decision to rise when everything inside you screamed to stay down, is when the hidden fighter took its first breath. It doesn't matter how small that step was. What matters is that you fought back, and in that fight, a stronger you began to grow. Most people never discover their hidden fighter because they avoid the situations that awaken it. They avoid discomfort. They avoid fear. They avoid pain. They stay where it's safe, never realizing that safety is a cage disguised as freedom. Comfort whispers sweet lies. You've done enough. You can try tomorrow. You deserve to rest. And so they stay stuck, year after year, never testing their limits, never challenging themselves deeply enough to trigger transformation. But here's the paradox. The very thing they're avoiding, the pain and challenge they fear, is the key to unlocking their true strength. Diamonds are created under pressure. Steel is forged in fire, and warriors are born in the middle of chaos, not peace. There was once a young man who trained tirelessly to become a champion fighter. Every day he practiced, every night he dreamed of victory. But when he finally stepped into the ring for his first real fight, fear took over. His punches were weak, his movements were slow. Within minutes, he was defeated. Humiliated, he considered quitting. But his coach said something that changed his life forever. "You've been training your body, but you've never trained your mind. You haven't met the fighter inside you yet. That fighter only appears when you're pushed beyond what you think you can handle." From that day forward, the young man began to embrace pain instead of avoiding it. He sought out the toughest opponents, trained in the harshest conditions, and challenged himself every single day. Slowly, his hidden fighter emerged, not just in the ring, but in every part of his life. Years later, he didn't just win championships. He became someone unrecognizable, someone far greater than the boy who had once been afraid to throw a punch. Your life works the same way. The challenges you face are not punishments, they are invitations. Every obstacle is an opportunity to awaken the fighter within you. When you lose a job, when your heart breaks, when your plans fail, when your body feels like it can't go on, these are the moments when you are being asked to dig deeper than ever before. The question isn't, why is this happening to me? The real question is, who will I become because of this? Most people waste their pain by complaining, blaming, or running away. The warrior uses their pain as fuel. They let it carve them into something stronger. But understand this clearly. The hidden fighter doesn't appear just because life gets hard. It appears because you choose to fight back. There are countless people who face hardship and let it destroy them. They stay down after life knocks them over. They surrender their dreams and settle for survival. What separates a warrior from a victim isn't the difficulty of the battle. It's the decision to rise no matter how many times they fall. Every time you get back up, every time you take another step when your legs are shaking, you are sending a signal to the hidden fighter inside you. I am ready. I am willing. I will not quit. The first enemy you must defeat to awaken your inner fighter is not fear, not doubt, not even failure. It's comfort. Comfort is seductive. It offers you safety, but at the cost of your potential. It convinces you to play small, to aim low, to avoid risk, and worst of all, it whispers so softly that you don't even realize you're trapped. One day of comfort becomes two. 2 days become a week. Before you know it, years have passed and you're living a life far below what you were capable of. The hidden fighter can't survive in an environment of comfort. It needs challenge. It needs resistance. Just like muscles grow stronger when they are pushed to the limit, your spirit grows stronger when you face what scares you. To awaken this fighter, you must deliberately step into discomfort. This doesn't mean you need to seek pain for the sake of pain. It means you must chase growth, even when it terrifies you. Start the project you've been avoiding. Have the difficult conversation you've been postponing. Push your body past its limits. Break the routine that keeps you stagnant. The first steps will feel impossible. Your mind will scream at you to turn back. But that is the exact moment when the hidden fighter begins to awaken. Every act of courage feeds it. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, strength over weakness, the fighter grows. Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down at the unknown. Behind you is everything familiar, safe, and easy. In front of you is fear, uncertainty, and risk. Most people turn back. They return to the known, even if the known is unfulfilling. But a warrior steps forward. They leap into the unknown, trusting that their hidden fighter will catch them. And when they land, they realize they were never truly falling. They were flying. Here's something most people don't understand. Your hidden fighter is not just about surviving challenges. It's about transforming through them. Pain is temporary. Growth is permanent. When you push through something that once seemed impossible, you don't just achieve a goal, you become someone new. That transformation can never be taken away from you. This is why some people face unimaginable hardships and come out stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. They didn't just survive the storm, they became the storm. But be warned, the battle is constant. Awakening your hidden fighter once is not enough. If you stop challenging yourself, if you slip back into comfort, the fighter will retreat. This is why champions keep training even after they've won. They understand that the greatest enemy isn't the opponent in front of them. It's the part of themselves that wants to stop growing. You must fight this battle every day. There is no finish line, only the next level. So how do you begin right now? Start small. Look at one area of your life where you've been avoiding discomfort. Maybe it's your health, your career, your relationships, or your mindset. Take one action today that scares you. It doesn't matter how small it is. What matters is that you act. Action is the language the hidden fighter understands. Each courageous step is like knocking on its door, saying, "I'm ready for more." As you keep taking steps, the fighter grows louder, stronger, more present. Soon, you won't just feel its presence, you will become it. One day, you will face a moment where the stakes are higher than ever before. It might be a dream opportunity. It might be a devastating loss. In that moment, you will have a choice. Give in to fear or rise with everything you've built inside yourself. If you've awakened your hidden fighter, you won't hesitate. You will act boldly, decisively, powerfully. And when others look at you, they will call you fearless. They won't understand that fear never left. You simply learned to fight through it. The greatest tragedy isn't failure. It's never discovering who you could have been. Most people die without ever meeting the strongest version of themselves. They live their whole lives as prisoners of comfort and fear, never realizing there was a warrior inside them all along. Don't let that be your story. Don't let your potential go to the grave with you. The hidden fighter is already there waiting. It doesn't need you to be perfect. It doesn't need you to have all the answers. It only needs one thing: your decision to keep fighting no matter what. The world may doubt you. Even you may doubt yourself. But deep inside, the fighter knows the truth. You were built for more than survival. You were built for victory. Chapter 2: Breaking the Mirror. There is a mirror you've been staring into your whole life. It's not the one hanging in your bathroom or the one you check before leaving the house. This mirror is invisible, yet it shapes everything you believe about yourself. It reflects not who you truly are, but who you think you are. The identity you've built over years of listening to other people's voices, fears, and opinions. It shows you a distorted version of your potential, a smaller, weaker version. And every day, you look into that mirror and accept its lies as truth. When you were a child, you didn't have this mirror. Back then, you believed you could do anything. You dreamed freely, wildly, without limits. If someone asked you what you wanted to be, you answered with excitement and confidence. An astronaut, a hero, a leader, a creator. You didn't question whether it was possible because you hadn't yet been told it wasn't. But then, life started talking. Parents, teachers, friends, even strangers, they all began placing their doubts on you like heavy stones. Be realistic. That's too hard. People like us don't do things like that. Slowly, piece by piece, they built the mirror. And each time you believed their words, another crack appeared between who you were and who you were meant to be. Over time, this false reflection becomes your prison. You stop trying new things because the mirror says you're not capable. You don't take risks because the mirror whispers that you'll fail. You lower your dreams to match the small image you see staring back at you. Worst of all, you start defending the mirror. You tell yourself stories like, "This is just who I am," or "Some people are meant for greatness, but not me." These are not truths, they are excuses born from a reflection that never belonged to you. The most dangerous thing about this mirror is that it doesn't just show you your current self, it predicts your future. When you believe you're weak, you act weak. When you believe you're unworthy, you make choices that keep you unworthy. This creates a loop. The more you believe the reflection, the more you behave in ways that make it seem real. You become trapped in a cycle of limitation, living a life that is far smaller than the one you were created for. And the scariest part? Most people never even realize they're staring into a false mirror. They go through their entire lives mistaking illusion for reality. But here's the truth. The mirror can be broken. The reflection can be shattered. And when it breaks, when the false image crumbles, you finally see who you really are. This is not an easy process. Breaking the mirror feels like breaking yourself, because for so long you've believed the reflection was you. It will feel uncomfortable. It will feel terrifying. But on the other side of that destruction is freedom. The first step to breaking the mirror is awareness. You must recognize that the image you see is not reality. Ask yourself hard questions. Whose voice is shaping my beliefs? Who told me I couldn't succeed? Where did my fears come from? Most of the time, you'll discover that your doubts aren't even yours. They're inherited. Maybe your parents struggled with money, so now you believe financial success isn't for people like you. Maybe you failed a test once, and a teacher's harsh words convinced you that you're not smart. Maybe a friend laughed when you shared a dream, and you've been hiding your ambition ever since. These beliefs are like fingerprints on the mirror. They don't belong to you, but they've been smudged across your reflection for years. Once you see the fingerprints, you must challenge them. Every time the mirror whispers, "You can't," respond with action. Prove it wrong, even in small ways. If the mirror says you're lazy, commit to 10 minutes of work. If it says you're unworthy of love, take one step toward vulnerability. Every small act of defiance sends a crack through the glass. Over time, those cracks spread, weakening the illusion until it finally shatters. Breaking the mirror also requires courage. The reflection has been part of you for so long that you'll fear who you might become without it. There's comfort in limitation because it gives you an excuse. If you believe you're incapable, you never have to try. If you believe you're broken, you never have to risk healing. When you destroy the mirror, you destroy your excuses. Suddenly, you're faced with the terrifying truth: you are capable and therefore responsible. Greatness is no longer an impossible dream. It's a choice you must actively make every single day. Imagine standing in a room surrounded by mirrors. Each one shows you a different version of you. The scared version, the angry version, the weak version, the one who gave up years ago. You've been living in this room your whole life, thinking these reflections were real. Then, one day, you pick up a hammer and swing. The glass shatters, and for the first time, there's light. You realize those versions were never you. They were stories. And now that they're gone, you have the power to create a new story, one built not on fear, but on truth. One of the most powerful ways to break the mirror is through radical action. Words and thoughts are important, but nothing destroys a false belief faster than undeniable proof. If the mirror says you'll never run a marathon, start running, even if it's just 1 block today. If it says you're too shy to lead, volunteer to speak up in a meeting. Every time you act in defiance of the reflection, you weaken its hold over you. Action is like swinging a hammer at the glass. The more you swing, the more cracks appear, until finally the entire thing collapses. There's a story of a woman who spent years believing she was worthless because her father constantly told her she'd never amount to anything.
His words became her mirror. She stayed in toxic relationships, avoided big dreams, and lived small because she believed that reflection. One day, she decided to take a small, terrifying action. She signed up for a public speaking class. Her hands shook, her voice trembled. But when she finished her first speech, something incredible happened. She saw herself through new eyes, not as a worthless failure, but as someone brave enough to face fear. That single act sent the first crack through the mirror. Over time, she kept taking steps, each one smashing another piece of the illusion. Today, she speaks on stages around the world, inspiring thousands. She didn't just change her life, she destroyed the false reflection that once controlled her. Breaking the mirror is not a one-time event. Even after the glass shatters, fragments remain. Old beliefs will try to creep back in. People around you may try to rebuild the mirror, projecting their doubts onto you. This is why you must stay vigilant. Surround yourself with those who see your true potential, not the false reflection. Build habits that reinforce your new identity. And most importantly, keep taking bold action. Every day you act in alignment with your true self, you stay free. The most beautiful thing about breaking the mirror is that it doesn't just show you your current self, it changes how you see the world. When you stop believing in your own limitations, you start seeing possibilities everywhere. Challenges that once felt impossible now look like opportunities. Failures that once crushed you become lessons. You realize that life was never about proving the mirror wrong. It was about proving yourself right. And here's the final truth. The mirror will always exist, but now you have the power to choose whether to look at it. Doubts will come, fear will whisper, old voices will try to return, but you don't have to listen. You can look past the reflection, past the illusion, and see the limitless potential that has been inside you all along. So today, pick up the hammer. Identify one false belief you've been carrying and take a bold action to shatter it. It doesn't matter how small the step is, what matters is that you swing. The first crack is always the hardest, but once it appears, freedom is inevitable. Keep swinging until the mirror lies in shards at your feet. Then, step through the broken glass and walk into a future where you are no longer defined by fear, by doubt, or by anyone else's story. The reflection was never you. The real you has been waiting on the other side, ready to rise. Break the mirror and meet the person you were always meant to become.
Chapter 3. The Enemy Within. The greatest enemy you will ever face is not out there in the world. It's not your competitors, not your critics, not the people who doubt you or try to bring you down. The greatest enemy lives inside you. It wears your face. It speaks in your voice. It knows every weakness, every insecurity, every excuse you've ever used, because it is you. This enemy has a single mission, to keep you from becoming who you were meant to be, and it is relentless. We often think of battles as loud, dramatic events, full of noise and chaos, but the war inside is silent. It takes place in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It happens when the alarm goes off and you have to decide whether to get up or hit snooze. It happens when you're about to work on your dream, but the lure of comfort and distraction pulls you toward your phone or the TV. It happens when you face failure and must choose whether to try again or give up. No one sees these battles. No one cheers you on. But these tiny, invisible moments decide the direction of your entire life. There are two versions of you at war in these moments. One is the disciplined warrior, driven by purpose, vision, and a desire to grow. This version pushes you to do what's right, even when it's hard. The other is the saboteur, the part of you addicted to comfort, fear, and instant gratification. It whispers lies designed to keep you small. You're too tired. You'll start tomorrow. One time won't hurt. It's not worth the effort. At first, these lies seem harmless, but every time you listen to them, you strengthen the saboteur. You give it power,
And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to live under its control. The terrifying thing about this inner enemy is how clever it is. It doesn't always shout its commands. Sometimes it disguises itself as logic. It tells you, you deserve a break. You've worked hard enough. It convinces you to take the easy path and calls it self-care. It tells you to quit and calls it being realistic. The saboteur knows your fears and desires intimately. It uses them against you, slowly eroding your discipline one choice at a time. This is why people with incredible talent and opportunity often fail to achieve greatness. They aren't defeated by the outside world, they're defeated from within. Imagine you are standing on a battlefield. On one side stands your disciplined self, holding a sword of determination, ready to fight for your dreams. On the other side stands your sabotaging self, armed with excuses and fear. The battleground is your mind. Every decision you make is like a swing of the sword. Each time you choose discipline, you push the saboteur back. Each time you give in to temptation or fear, you strengthen it. This war never ends. There is no final victory. The enemy within will always exist. The only question is, who will win today? Self-discipline is not glamorous. It's not dramatic or exciting. It's built in small, repetitive actions that feel insignificant in the moment. Waking up early, saying no to distractions, choosing the difficult task over the easy one. Most people overlook these decisions because they seem too simple. But over time, these small acts of discipline compound into unstoppable strength. They shape your character. They turn you into someone who can be trusted, not just by others, but by yourself. And trust is power. When you trust yourself to follow through, you become fearless. On the other hand, self-sabotage grows quietly, like a disease. It begins with one skipped workout, one missed opportunity, one broken promise to yourself. You tell yourself it's no big deal, but the next time it's easier to make the same excuse. Eventually, these choices pile up until you no longer believe in your own words. You lose faith in yourself. That's when the saboteur wins. It doesn't need to destroy you all at once. It just needs to make you doubt your own strength. There was once a soldier who fought bravely in many battles, always defeating his enemies. But one day, a wise elder told him, "The greatest war you will ever fight is not against the armies outside, but against the darkness inside you." The soldier didn't understand until he faced a challenge that required more than weapons or strategy. He had to overcome his own fear, laziness, and doubt. Only then did he realize that victory in the outer world means nothing if you are defeated within. You are that soldier. Every goal you have, every dream you chase, requires you to win the inner war first. One of the most powerful strategies to defeat the saboteur is self-awareness. You must learn to recognize its voice. When it whispers, "You're too tired," pause and ask yourself, "Is this really me, or is this my fear speaking?" The moment you name the saboteur, you weaken it. Most people are controlled by it because they don't even realize it exists. They mistake its lies for truth. Awareness is like shining a light on a shadow. It loses its power the moment you see it clearly. Another strategy is small victories. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. That kind of pressure feeds the saboteur, which thrives on overwhelming you. Instead, focus on one small act of discipline at a time. Get out of bed as soon as the alarm rings. Spend 10 minutes on the project you've been avoiding. Choose water instead of soda. These may seem like tiny wins, but each one is a message to your inner warrior. I am in control. Over time, these small victories build momentum. They create a chain reaction of strength that eventually overwhelms the saboteur. Consistency is your greatest weapon. The saboteur is patient. It doesn't need to defeat you today. It just needs you to break your routine. It knows that inconsistency is the beginning of decay. This is why you must treat your discipline like a sacred ritual. Do it every day, whether you feel like it or not. Feelings are temporary. Discipline is permanent. When you act based on commitment instead of emotion, you become unstoppable. Understand this: the enemy within will never disappear. Even the most successful, disciplined people still hear its whispers. The difference is they've trained themselves to fight back automatically. They don't wait for motivation. They don't argue with the saboteur. They simply act. Every time you take action in spite of fear or laziness, you weaken the enemy and strengthen the warrior. Over time, this becomes your default state. You no longer waste energy debating whether to do the hard thing. You just do it. There's a moment that comes in every warrior's journey where the battle feels hopeless. You'll be tired. You'll feel like you've been fighting forever with no results. The saboteur will sense your weakness and attack with everything it has. It will remind you of every past failure. It will tell you you're wasting your time. This is the most dangerous moment, not because you might fail, but because you might stop fighting. Remember this truth: the saboteur only wins when you quit. As long as you keep swinging, keep pushing, keep showing up, you are winning, even if the progress feels invisible. The reward for defeating the enemy within isn't just external success. Yes, you'll achieve goals, build strength, and create the life you want. But the real prize is freedom. When you conquer yourself, no one can control you. Criticism can't break you. Failure can't stop you. Even fear loses its grip. You become the master of your own mind, and that mastery is the foundation of true power. Think of your life as a fortress. If the walls are strong on the outside, but weak on the inside, it will collapse the moment it's attacked. That's why so many seemingly successful people fall apart when they face hardship. They built their outer world, money, status, fame, but never fortified their inner world. Don't make that mistake. Build strength from the inside out. Defeat the saboteur first, and no external force will ever be able to destroy you. Right now, at this very moment, a battle is taking place inside you. You may not hear it, but it's there. One voice is telling you to rise, to fight, to become the warrior you were born to be. The other voice is telling you to stay comfortable, to settle, to give up. Which voice will you obey? That decision will define your future. You don't need to win every battle today. You just need to win this one. Then tomorrow, fight again, and again, and again, until one day you realize that the saboteur's voice has grown faint and the warrior's roar has become unstoppable. The world doesn't need another person who surrendered to their inner enemy. It needs warriors, people who have faced themselves and emerged victorious. Be one of those warriors. Train your mind like a weapon. Guard your heart like a treasure. Stand tall in the face of fear, knowing that the enemy within has no power over you unless you give it permission. You are both the prisoner and the key. You are both the enemy and the hero. The war is inside you, and victory begins the moment you choose to fight.
Chapter 4: Rise of the Warrior. There comes a moment in every battle when the war reaches its breaking point, the moment when defeat feels inevitable, when the weight of exhaustion presses down on you, when every voice inside you screams to give up. This is the moment that defines everything. It is the point where most people quit. But for a rare few, it becomes the birthplace of transformation. It's not a single event you can schedule or predict. It happens in the middle of chaos, when your back is against the wall and there is nowhere left to run. This is when the warrior rises. For most of your life, you've been fighting in the shadows, battling your doubts, your fears, your weaknesses. The enemy within has beaten you countless times. It has convinced you to procrastinate, to settle, to shrink your dreams to fit your comfort zone. It has whispered lies that felt like truths, and for a long time, you believed them. You thought you weren't strong enough. You thought you weren't ready. You thought greatness was for other people, not for you. But deep inside, there was always a spark.
Even in your lowest moments, when you felt broken and lost, there was a small, quiet voice saying, "You are more than this." Most people ignore that voice. They let the noise of the world drown it out. But you didn't. You listened. And listening was the first step toward awakening the warrior within. The rise of the warrior doesn't begin with victory. It begins with acceptance, the realization that no one is coming to save you. There will be no miracle, no perfect timing, no magical moment where everything suddenly becomes easy. The pain, the obstacles, the failures, they are all yours to face. This realization is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it forces you to take full responsibility for your life. Liberating because it means you no longer have to wait for anyone's permission. You hold the power. You always did. In this moment of acceptance, something shifts. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop pointing fingers. You stop telling yourself stories about why you can't. Instead, you look in the mirror and say, "It's me. It's always been me. And if I want to change my life, I must first change myself." This is the warrior's awakening, not a burst of motivation, but a deep, unshakable clarity, the kind that comes when you finally stop running from your own reflection. The next stage is decision. The warrior's rise is not about wanting to change, it's about deciding to change. There's a difference. Wanting is passive, deciding is active. When you decide, you burn the boats behind you. You eliminate the option of retreat. You say to yourself, "This is who I am now, and I will not go back." Most people never reach this point because they keep one foot in their old life, clinging to comfort while reaching for growth. But true transformation demands total commitment. Half measures will never awaken the warrior. The decision is followed by action, not tomorrow, not next week, but now. The warrior understands that thoughts mean nothing without action. You may be terrified. You may feel unprepared. That doesn't matter. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the willingness to move forward despite fear. The first step is always the hardest because it's the moment when you defy the old version of yourself. Every step after that becomes easier, not because the path is less challenging, but because you are becoming stronger. At first, your actions may seem small. Waking up early, saying no to distractions, speaking up when you would have stayed silent. These choices might not seem like much, but they are sacred. Each one is a vote for the warrior you are becoming. Every act of discipline is like swinging a sword against the enemy within. Over time, these small victories build momentum, and the old you begins to crumble. You no longer identify with your excuses or fears. You start to see yourself as someone capable, powerful, unstoppable. But the rise of the warrior is not a straight climb. It is a series of battles, each harder than the last. As you grow stronger, life will test you with greater challenges. The saboteur inside you will fight back with renewed force, using every trick it knows. It will tempt you with comfort. It will overwhelm you with doubt. It will try to convince you that your progress was just luck, that you don't deserve to rise. This resistance is not a sign of failure. It is proof that you are on the right path. The closer you get to transformation, the louder the enemy will scream. There will be nights when you feel like you're drowning, days when the weight of your dreams feels unbearable. You will question everything, your choices, your goals, even your worth. This is the dark night of the soul, the moment before the breakthrough. Most people quit here, but the warrior pushes through. They understand that pain is temporary, but regret lasts forever. They know that on the other side of this struggle is the life they were born to live. The true rise happens not when you win your first external victory, but when you conquer your internal battlefield. The moment you wake up and realize, "I am no longer the same person I was yesterday," that is the moment of transformation. You might not see massive changes in your external world yet. The job, the money, the recognition, those things will come later. What matters most is who you are becoming on the inside. Once the inner shift happens, the outer world has no choice but to follow. Imagine a phoenix rising from the ashes. For the phoenix to be reborn, it must first be consumed by fire. That fire is your pain, your struggles, your failures. It feels like destruction, but it's actually transformation. When you embrace the fire instead of running from it, you burn away everything that no longer serves you. Fear, doubt, laziness, excuses, all of it turns to ash. And from those ashes, the warrior emerges, stronger and freer than ever before. One of the most powerful signs that you are rising is the way you start to view challenges. In the past, you saw obstacles as threats. You avoided them, feared them, cursed them. But as the warrior rises, your perspective shifts. You begin to see challenges as opportunities, not to prove yourself to others, but to forge yourself into someone unbreakable. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every failure becomes a stepping stone. The very things that once defeated you now become the fuel that propels you forward. With this new mindset, you stop competing with others. You realize the real battle was never against them. It was always against the weaker version of yourself. When you rise, you stop needing validation. You stop chasing approval. You become focused on mastery, not comparison. The world may celebrate your victories, but those external rewards are secondary. The true prize is internal peace, the quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you fought for your own soul and won. The rise of the warrior also brings responsibility. With strength comes the duty to use it wisely. The warrior doesn't just rise for themselves. They rise to inspire others, to lead by example, to show what's possible. When you grow, you give others permission to grow. When you break free from your chains, you show others how to break theirs. Your journey becomes a beacon of hope for those still trapped in their own battles. This is how true leaders are born, not from titles or positions, but from personal transformation. But never forget, rising is not a one-time event. It is a daily choice. Even after you've tasted victory, the enemy within will still whisper. Fear will still creep in. Doubt will still knock at your door. The difference is, now you know how to fight. You have built the habits, the mindset, and the resilience to face whatever comes. The warrior doesn't seek an easy life. They seek the strength to handle a challenging one. Right now, you are standing at the edge of a cliff. Behind you is your old life, the excuses, the failures, the comfort zone that kept you small. In front of you is the unknown, a future filled with both danger and possibility. You cannot stand here forever. You must choose. The fall will be terrifying. But what you don't realize yet is that you won't fall. You will fly. The wings of the warrior are forged in the leap itself. So take the step. Claim your power. Declare, not to the world, but to yourself, I am no longer who I was. I will not be chained by fear. I will not be ruled by doubt. I will rise, and nothing will stop me. Say it until you believe it. Say it until the old you tremble and fade away. The world needs more warriors, not people who are fearless, but people who choose courage despite fear. People who are willing to stand alone if necessary, to fight for their dreams when no one else believes. That is who you are becoming. That is who you were always meant to be. The rise of the warrior is not a destination. It is a way of life. Every day you will face battles. Some you will win, some you will lose. But as long as you keep rising...
Chapter 5. Victory Beyond the Battle. Every battle eventually comes to an end. The noise fades, the dust settles, and in the silence that follows, you are left standing face to face with the one person you've been fighting all along, yourself. From the very beginning, this war was never about external enemies, competition, or anyone trying to stop you. It was always about the internal conflict, the clash between who you were and who you are destined to become. The fight of you versus you has been the most brutal, the most relentless, and the most transformative journey of your life. And now, as you stand on the other side, it is time to understand what true victory really means. Most people think victory is about defeating others, winning trophies, earning applause, or achieving a specific goal. They imagine a moment where the crowd cheers, where you stand at the top of the mountain, triumphant and celebrated. But here is the truth you have now come to see. Real victory is silent. It happens when there is no audience, no applause, and no spotlight. It happens when you can finally look at your reflection and feel pride instead of shame, peace instead of conflict, strength instead of fear. True victory is when the voice of doubt inside you is no longer louder than the voice of courage. It is when you no longer need to prove anything to anyone, not even yourself, because you have finally become the person you were always meant to be. This journey was never easy. There were nights filled with tears and mornings when you didn't want to rise from bed. There were moments when quitting felt easier than continuing, when the weight of your failures crushed your spirit, when the enemy within whispered that you weren't strong enough, weren't good enough, weren't worthy enough to win. And for a long time, maybe you believed those lies. Maybe you carried them like heavy chains, dragging them through every day until they became part of your identity. But something inside you refused to die. Even at your lowest point, there was a spark, a small, quiet voice deep within you that kept whispering, "There is more to you than this." And though you tried to ignore it, though the noise of the world drowned it out, it never truly disappeared. That spark was your warrior spirit, waiting to be awakened. As you began this battle, you discovered that the enemy inside you was cunning and relentless. It attacked with fear, with laziness, with excuses. It used every weapon possible to keep you small, comfortable, and stuck. But step by step, you learned to fight back. You built discipline where there was once chaos. You created courage where there was once hesitation. You chose growth even when it was painful. And every single choice, no matter how small, was a strike against the old version of yourself. Every early morning when you got up instead of hitting snooze, every time you chose action over procrastination, every moment you silenced self-doubt and moved forward, these were not just habits, they were victories. They were proof that the warrior within you was rising. And yet, even now, you must understand something profound. There is no such thing as a final victory. Life will always bring new battles. Challenges will continue to appear. Storms will rage, and obstacles will test your strength. The difference now is that you are no longer the same person you once were. The old you would have run from conflict, hidden behind excuses, or collapsed under the weight of pressure. The new you stands tall, unshaken, and ready to face whatever comes. You no longer seek a life without problems. Instead, you seek to become so strong that no problem can break you. This is the essence of transformation, not escaping hardship, but rising above it. The reward of this entire journey is not a single moment of triumph. It is the strength you have built through the process. Strength of mind, strength of heart, and strength of spirit. You have forged resilience in the fire of adversity. You have discovered clarity through the fog of uncertainty. You have learned to trust yourself completely, even when no one else believed in you. These are treasures far greater than wealth, status, or recognition, because they cannot be taken away. When you first began, you may have thought this was only about you, your goals, your dreams, your transformation. But as you have grown, you have realized something extraordinary. When one warrior rises, they inspire others to rise too.
Your battle has never been just about your victory. It has been about the ripple effect you create. There are people watching you silently, people you may never even meet, who see your courage and think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. By breaking your own chains, you've shown others how to break theirs. By facing your inner demons, you've given others permission to face theirs. Without even speaking a word, you have become a leader. Not because of titles or positions, but because of the life you have chosen to live. But with this influence comes responsibility. The warrior does not rise only for personal glory. They rise to light the way for others still lost in darkness. That doesn't mean fighting their battles for them. No one can do that. Every person must face their own you versus you war. But you can be a symbol of hope, a living reminder that transformation is possible. And sometimes that is enough to ignite the flame in someone else's heart. Yet even now, there is a danger you must never forget: complacency. After great victories, the enemy within often returns not with loud attacks, but with soft whispers. It says, "You've done enough. You can relax now. You don't need to push any further." This is the most dangerous lie of all. Complacency is the silent killer of greatness. It convinces warriors to put down their swords and let their guard down. And slowly, without realizing it, they slip back into old habits, old fears, old versions of themselves. This is why a true warrior never fully stops fighting. Even in moments of peace, they remain alert. Even in success, they remain humble. They know that growth is a lifelong journey. The internal battle doesn't end, it simply evolves. There will always be a next level, a new mountain to climb, a deeper layer of strength to uncover. The warrior does not fear this endless journey, they embrace it. For them, the purpose is not to win and retire. The purpose is to keep becoming, to keep rising, to keep sharpening their spirit until their very existence becomes a testament to resilience. The true test of victory is not how loudly you celebrate when you win, but how you carry yourself afterward. The old you chased approval and validation. The new you no longer needs applause. External rewards, money, recognition, praise, are now secondary. They are pleasant, but they are not the point. The real prize is internal mastery. It's the unshakable peace you feel knowing you have fought for your own soul and won. That peace is worth more than any trophy. As you stand here, at the symbolic end of this battle, look back for a moment. See the path you have walked. It is lined with scars, mistakes, and hardships, but also with victories, lessons, and growth. Every failure was a stepping stone. Every tear watered the seeds of strength. Every challenge shaped you into who you are today. Nothing was wasted. Every moment mattered. Now turn your gaze forward. The road ahead is unknown, and that is its beauty. It will not be easy. There will be more storms, more tests, more battles. But now you are ready. You no longer fear the unknown because you have faced the greatest enemy already, yourself, and emerged victorious. Nothing life throws at you can be more dangerous than the war you have already fought inside. So walk boldly into your future. Carry your lessons, your scars, and your unshakable spirit with you. Remember that this is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a life lived with purpose and power. You are no longer the person who started this war. That version of you has been left behind, buried in the battlefield of transformation. You are the warrior, forged in fire, unstoppable in spirit, limitless in potential. As you continue forward, there is one final truth to carry in your heart. The greatest battle you will ever fight is the one inside yourself, and you have already proven that you are capable of victory. This doesn't mean you will never struggle again. It means you will never again doubt your ability to rise. You will fall, yes. You will face darkness, yes. But each time you will rise faster, stronger and more certain than before, because now you know who you are. The world is waiting for the warrior you have become, not to cheer you on, not to hand you rewards, but to be challenged and inspired by your presence. Walk forward and live as proof of what is possible when someone dares to fight their own inner war and win. Let your life be a message, a light, a reminder that no one is truly stuck and that transformation is always within reach.
Conclusion. The war of you versus you was never just a battle. It was the path to becoming everything you were meant to be. And now, with sword in hand and fire in your soul, you step into the rest of your life, not as a survivor, but as a conqueror. The battlefield is silent, but your spirit roars. This is your victory beyond the battle. This is your legacy. This is your new beginning.